Hey, welcome to Art with Ian. Today we're talking about creature design. That's coming up next. All right, welcome to episode 2 of the creature design series. Today we are going to be thumbnailing. Just before we get into that, I just want to remind you what we talked about in the last episode was reference sheets. So this I'm going to have up on my second monitor while I'm thumbnailing to kind of just help remind me. And I've got some other refs that I can pull up if I need to. So just kind of wanted to remind you that that is a thing that I'll be doing. And yeah, so just keep in mind that I've got my references up top. And here we go. Let's get into some. Oh yeah, you can also see that I've got a few thumbnails that I already did. I was sketching around. You can see I've got human scale set up. So these are the creatures quite large. I've also got my perspective grid, which is just a 2-point perspective set up so that I can sketch with perspective while looking at perspective, which is really important if you want to get your perspective right, obviously. So the way that I set this up real quick, if you're curious, basically I drew a straight line across using, holding shift, and then I just fanned out going both directions. Well, I made one fan out of lines, and then I copied it, flipped it vertically and merged that down, and I flipped it horizontally and dragged it over here. And so where they intersect is basically what I copied to make my grid. So then you turn that off and you end up with this. So what I like to do is Control J to duplicate that and turn off the original so that I have that always for any thumbnails I want to do. And then to go into sketching, I turn the opacity way down. I don't want it to be too much in the way of what I see. Then I go ahead and create a new layer. And let's see, I've got my sketching brush. I use this texture sketch brush that I made. And make a few marks. Just make sure we're good here. Okay, so in the last episode I talked about how I'm trying to merge dinosaur, gorilla, and like crab turtle together, and you can kind of see this one I got really far away from my main idea and went kind of weird, like almost all turtle and crab, and that was just kind of a little bit of like a see how far I can push it and not try to not be stuck living in the box of my original idea, if that makes any sense. So, but I don't like that direction. These two here I'm leaning heavily and like I'm kind of back and forth on which one I want to do. I kind of like this one here the most, but I really like how this one sort of feels a little bit more like that. It's bipedal, but it like uses but almost not fully bipedal. Like it uses its arms almost like in a quadrupedal way, like a gorilla does a lot of the time. So anyways, I thought let's just sketch one more in real time here so you guys can kind of just see my process, staying super loose. So I know that I want to think about the crab shape, turtle shell crab shape. So that's in here some. And then I want to think about the fact that I'm going bipedal, and I kind of like the direction of slightly more obviously bipedal. So that means that it needs to have a pretty obvious stance, kind of. So I'm going to go, I think I might try just pushing. So let's just create a shape for the leg. Let's create another shape for the other leg. Now, I kind of like the idea of maybe the shell being like less obvious, like not quite so clearly a turtle shell in the exact kind of way. So I'm kind of trying to play with that. Kind of need to create an area for the softer flesh to kind of make its way out. And let's see that, and also the arm has to find a way out somewhere of the hard shell stuff. So maybe that it could have like this kind of a thing going on down below. And then I do like these kind of feet where, or the legs where like it kind of comes up and then they've got a big like large kind of dinosaur type foot that carries that balances the load from over the knee. You know, that you got basically this line from the knee over the foot kind of thing happening. Also, using a perspective grid, if this isn't something you do that often, the way that you want to do this is like, okay, if the back heel of this leg is on that line, follow the line over and just put your back heel on that line. If the bend of the foot is on this line, put the bend of the foot on this line. And obviously you can fudge that around some in order to make it look like this thing isn't just statically popped into a grid or whatever. But you know, when you're just designing or whatever, it's pretty okay to just kind of, you can forego some of like the worrying about posing and like, you know, extra style and stuff might not be the wisest thing to do right at that point. Just because if you put too many things on the plate for your brain to deal with all at once, you might end up not really accomplishing any of those things in a very good way. So I'm thinking put his arm in here somewhere. Now, I mentioned in episode 1, if you haven't seen that, there'll be a link. I'll put a link up in the corner for you to go check that out. I mentioned in episode 1 about maybe having one of his hands be a crab claw to kind of help extra sell the crab aspect of the design. So I might try that just to see what happens here. I also kind of want to maybe toy with the idea of some of his shell stuff being like irregular and not overly like perfect, like a perfect exact turtle shell shape, but more like almost like it's malformed or, you know, bulging in odd places or whatever. Okay, so now there's this soft flesh. You may remember from the snapping turtle, there's this soft flesh that kind of builds up into the shell, and I like that look of like an area where the flesh kind of sits in there and then it just transitions into the shell like stuff. Also, you'll probably notice that I'm being extremely loose, right? So it's I don't, the idea of a tight drawing when you're designing, for me, it doesn't make any sense. Like it's not what we're trying to accomplish right now. What we're trying to accomplish is finding the design that we want to actually work, harder at tying down later. So I'm gonna look at pincers a little bit here. I'm not sure how I feel about doing a pincer hand. I feel like I've seen that before, which, I mean, I guess I've seen everything before somewhere. Someone's already done just about everything, but I just not feeling it. Not feeling it. I like the normal hand idea. Like more like a big burly, like, I like my idea of like this thing, it rests, like it moves like a gorilla, like a lot of the time. It doesn't just walk around like a human all straight backed kind of a thing, It kind of gives it a bit of a transition, like it's going through like an evolutionary transition. It feels like it's it's not quite bipedal and it's not quadrupedal, somewhere in between. I don't know what I want to do with that hand back there. I'm just going to leave it, I think. And then this head, I'm thinking something like maybe pretty turtley. Again, not positive. Okay, let's go ahead and start cleaning up a little bit. Need to get a normal hard round eraser and get this part of his body out from his arm so we see that his arm is over the top. Let's make some space for his head here. Get some of these lines out of the way. That was just me basically searching for the height of the shell. Some of that out of there. I want there to be like a nice gap right here. I want it to look like he kind of armors back up again, maybe a little bit or something. I don't really know. But the whole armor motif, the shell motif, might be a little bit, I don't know. It might be a little too just isolated in the upper body area. But I kind of need the legs to be organic or fleshy so that they bend and move properly. Maybe he's got like plates on there. And then it comes like there's flesh underneath and the plate ends at the knee so that the joint works or something. This is all stuff, like this is the point of thumbnailing, like you can just have whatever ideas you want with zero, like you're not really risking the time. You're not risking wasting your time because it's all basically scribbled out and you're not rendering it, doing a bunch of crazy work on it. Something like this kind of a head, I think I like. Almost bird-like. Turtles having like that beak kind of a thing, or they can, It's almost a bird-like thing happening. thinking probably, no, that's probably okay. Need to put his knuckles in right here so that we know where the knuckle, like there's a plane change, like, so that's the end of the palm is right here. This is the palm, and then these are the actual fingers kind of coming down. So yeah, I kind of like where this is going. He's got kind of, yeah, this bulbous, I think maybe this part of his shell needs to like ride back in quicker, like this, into his head. Yeah, that's better. And remember, the spike idea is coming from the king crab, and maybe we could carry that into some other areas of the design, but I'm not really sure how. I think maybe that won't work. And then his arms are, obviously they're stylistically pushed quite a lot, but they're still based on those gorilla arms, which are pretty humanoid, the muscle structure. So I'm maintaining, you know, like where the elbows are, like the bicep muscle is still here, you know, on the front of the arm. Like the muscles are basically still where they would normally be. So I'm just keeping to that. Okay, so there's one more. So now once I get my thumbnail kind of down, I you know, hold shift to get the two layers selected together, Control T, and then I just size it down and throw it in the mix. So we'll probably I might do a few more before episode 3, which will be cleanup and, you know, getting the line work ready for blocking in color. But I'm definitely liking this direction. I think I like this design more than the one I just did, but I don't know. I'll take my time before the next episode and really decide which one I want to push, and then we'll get into line cleanup and go from there. So anyways, I hope you got something out of this episode. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Leave a comment below if you have anything that you want to say about it, or, you know, you want to talk about your process and how you go about thumbnailing, what you think about, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, share it with your friends, ring the bell for notifications of future videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.